A saint was known as a guardian of the kingdom, almost like the goddess herself, the one who healed people with sacred magic. A lonely girl once longed for that miraculous power, but the girl who admired the saint, the symbol of healing, turned out to be the strongest offensive mage that had ever lived. The girl herself admitted that this was not what she had pictured. A girl addressed her parents in her thoughts, saying that it had already been 9 years since the day she started dreaming of becoming a saint. She was 15 years old now, and tomorrow she would take her first step towards sainthood. She was enrolling at the magic academy she had always admired, but right now she was stuck in a forest on her way to the academy, and she was very much lost. She asked herself where in the world she was. She panicked, wondering what she should do. If she could not reach the academy and miss tomorrow's entrance ceremony, her admission might get cancelled. She imagined people mocking her, saying that someone who could not even read a map had no right to become a saint, and calling for her to be beheaded. She screamed. She imagined people pointing fingers at her, calling for her execution, asking if she was always alone, if she did not have a single friend, and saying she should not attend the grand entrance ceremony at the Magic Academy. She screamed and cried in terror. A voice called out to her, telling her to calm down. 9 years of dreaming and she got taken out by a forest and a piece of paper. The voice belonged to a small figure called Xinyu. Xinyu told her it was okay and that no one gets executed for being late, then told her to take deep breaths. The girl calmed down. She thought of Xinyu as the precious presence who had always been by her side. She thanked Xinyu for being there. Xinyu responded cheerfully, saying that of course he was there, because he was her imaginary friend. He added that he only ever said what she wanted to hear. Xinyu then told her that once she enrolled, she should seriously try to make some human friends. He said she should make tons of friends and get super popular. The girl told Xinyu not to be so cold all of a sudden and asked if he was supposed to be on her side. Xinyu asked her if she wanted to become a saint. The girl confirmed with full enthusiasm that she did. She told Xinyu she would do her best. She heard a rustling noise from the bushes and got excited, then quickly apologized, saying she got carried away. A black cat appeared in the forest. The girl thought it was cute and crouched down, trying to call it over. A loud roar shook the forest. The girl was startled. A massive black wolf with glowing eyes appeared right in front of her. The wolf bared its fangs and lunged at her. The girl raised her hand and cast a spell called Thunder Hammer Rend Burst. A huge blast of magic hit the wolf dead on, creating a massive explosion that shook the area. The girl said it scared her. She then realized she had done it again. The explosion had also burned her map. She cried, saying that now she could not get to the academy. Xinyu told her that her magic was as amazing as ever. The girl told Xinyu that it was not the time for that. Aspiring healer accidentally nukes a wolf in her only directions. Solid start. The black cat walked up to her and spoke, asking what was wrong and what was with the shocked face. The girl was stunned to see that Xinyu had turned into a cat. She then had a terrible realization. Xinyu was born from her imagination to begin with, so his past form was also her imagination. That meant all her conversations with Xinyu had just been her talking to herself, and now she was just talking to a cat. She told herself to stop thinking and turn her brain off. The cat Xinyu rubbed against her face and told her that even without a map, she would make it. The girl found the cat extremely cute. They kept walking and eventually found their way out of the forest. The girl said they had finally made it. Xinyu told her to hurry before the sun set. They arrived at the Magic Academy, a grand, impressive building with towers, fountains, and a large courtyard. The girl, whose name was Yuffie Abishas, exclaimed that it was beautiful and nothing like her hometown of Millil Village. She spotted a statue and recognized it as the statue of the first saint. She found it divine and wondered if she became a saint too, whether they would build a statue of her as well. She thought that would not be bad at all. Yuffie got so excited that she collapsed and rolled on the ground in front of the statue, squealing. Xinyu tried to stop her. A pair of shoes approached and a voice said hello. Yuffie looked up from the ground to see a handsome young man with blonde hair standing over her. The young man asked if she was a new student. Yuffie was struck by his appearance. Golden hair shining in the sunlight, eyes as blue as the sea, and a straight nose. She thought he was beautiful. She was so overwhelmed that she called him a being of light and accidentally knocked something over near the statue. The young man asked if he had done something wrong. Yuffie apologized frantically, saying that people of darkness should not be looking upon someone like him. The young man told her she was funny. She went from rolling on the ground to calling a stranger a being of light. First impressions are going great. Yuffie peeked out from behind the statue pedestal and asked if she was really funny. The young man said yes and that she looked happy too. Yuffie apologized again for getting carried away and begged him not to hate her. He said he could not hate her since they had just met. She hid behind the statue again. The young man introduced himself as Lyle and asked for her name. He extended his hand for a handshake. Yuffie was shocked and thrilled. She recalled hearing rumors that friends do handshakes. She was torn between being happy and wanting to shake his hand, but also wondering if it was really okay for someone like her to touch him. She also thought that refusing would be too rude. Yuffie recalled that people used to ask others if they were friends with her, and those people would deny it, saying they had never thought of her as a friend. She remembered always being alone. She thought about how she wanted to change. She wanted to erase her past history of being a loner, and that was why she came to the Magic Academy. Yuffie nervously took Lyle's hand and introduced herself, stuttering through her name. Lyle cheerfully said it was nice to meet her too. Both of them smiled. Yuffie rummaged through her bag and pulled out a long burdock root, saying it was a specialty from her hometown of Millil Village. Lyle asked if all of her luggage was burdock. Yuffie insisted that it was 90% burdock and 10% personal items, and that she had washed and bundled it. Lyle laughed and thanked her, saying he would take it. He told her she was really funny. Yuffie was overjoyed that he liked her gift. Lyle asked if the black cat was her familiar. Yuffie said the cat's name was Xinyu and that he was not a companion or pet. She had just saved the kitty from a black wolf. Lyle was shocked, asking where and how she had saved it from a monster. Yuffie said it happened in the forest on her way here and that she took it down by herself. Lyle was stunned, noting that she did not seem to have had an escort. He asked if she knew swordsmanship. Yuffie said she could not even use a kitchen knife. Lyle then asked if she was a cross-dressing guy. Yuffie reacted in shock, asking how he got that conclusion. She insisted that she was a girl. Lyle apologized, but said that her claim of beating a black wolf alone sounded like a joke. He then got serious and told her that in this world, offensive magic could only be used by men. Yuffie stared at him in surprise. Lyle told Yuffie that only men could use offensive magic and that a girl like her could never use it. Yuffie stared at him in shock. Yuffie quickly backtracked, apologizing and saying she was making a joke. She became stiff and awkward. Lyle noticed and asked why she suddenly sounded like a robot. Yuffie said it was nothing at all. Xinyu quietly told Yuffie that maybe she should not make that joke too much. Lyle called out to someone behind them. A girl with silver hair appeared. Lyle said he had been looking for her and called her Alina. Yuffie noticed Alina's silver hair, porcelain white skin and gentle smile, and thought she looked like a saint. Yuffie thought to herself that seeing a second radiant person in one day was too much to handle. Yuffie immediately hid behind the statue pedestal again. Lyle and Alina noticed and said she hid again. Alina asked if she had done something wrong. Yuffie blurted out that seeing a second being of pure light was too much for a creature of darkness like her to handle, then immediately said that made no sense and apologized. Two beautiful people in one day and Yuffie's social battery is already in the negatives. Lyle asked Alina if Yuffie was fun. Alina agreed. Yuffie took that as praise. Alina then spotted Xinyu the black cat and got very excited, squealing about how cute and beautiful the cat was, praising its huge eyes and glossy black fur. She asked if it was Yuffie's familiar and if she could give it a treat. Yuffie told her to go ahead. Yuffie thought that Alina was stunning and elegant, but also weirdly easy to talk to. Yuffie asked if they were allowed to bring animals to the academy. Lyle said it was no problem since plenty of students used animals as familiars, not just pets. He mentioned that the dorm shop also had lots of pet food and rare items for sale. Yuffie said she would check it out. Lyle then remembered something and asked Alina what she had been looking for him about. Alina said the teachers wanted to go over tomorrow's entrance ceremony. Lyle understood. Lyle and Alina said they would get going. Lyle asked Yuffie if she knew the way to the dorm. Yuffie thanked them deeply. Alina said she was welcome. Lyle waved goodbye, telling Yuffie he would see her later. Yuffie stood there repeating his words to herself as she walked away. Yuffie was thrilled, thinking that it was the first time anyone had ever said see you to her, something you only say to friends. She wondered if Lyle had actually become her friend. Xinyu told her not to get her hopes up. Yuffie then thought to herself that they lived in totally different worlds, and that there was no way he would really be friends with her. Yuffie recalled how she had blurted out that she could use offensive magic, and how Lyle had told her that a girl could never use it. She thought about the rule that only men could use offensive magic and only women could use healing magic. She knew that, but she wondered if it was really that big of a deal. If even she, an eternal underachiever at studies and sports, could do it, then it was just rare, not unique, and she was sure there had to be others. The girl who can barely read a map somehow convinced herself that blowing up a wolf is no big deal. Yuffie decided she would keep her offensive magic a secret since she was aiming to be a saint. She also hated being called a cross-dressing guy. She headed to the dorm sign-ups. Yuffie arrived at the student dorms and entered her room. She was amazed at how nice it was. She jumped on the bed and said it was fluffy. She was excited about getting to live in a dorm room this nice. Her stomach growled, so she decided to go to the campus shop with Xinyu. She was glad Lyle had told them about it since they had tons of food for Xinyu at the shop. Yuffie thought about how tomorrow was finally the entrance ceremony and said she was getting nervous. She wondered if she would make any friends. She said she had talked to 2 people today and joked that at that rate 100 friends was not a dream, then took it back. She remembered how people used to say they never thought of her as a friend. Yuffie recalled how whenever the other kids had to pair up, eat together, or play, a sister from the church always had to be her partner instead. She told herself to forget that dark past. Yuffie reminded herself that she had lived a shut-in life at the little village church, but this was a new place. She said she was not the same person anymore. She decided that 100 friends was way too much, so 10. No, 1 friend would be enough. She was determined. She ate dinner with Xinyu, had a bath, and got ready for bed. Yuffie noted that the ceremony started at 9, but even though it was too early to sleep, she decided to go to bed so she could wake up early and be productive. She said goodnight to Xinyu. She thought about how tomorrow she would be a student of the Magic Academy. She recalled her childhood and the people from her village church. She thought about how she had finally taken her first step and promised to do her best to make her dream of becoming a saint come true. She fell asleep holding Xinyu. The next morning, Xinyu woke Yuffie up, telling her that the entrance ceremony had already started. Yuffie grabbed the clock and saw the time. She screamed that she was late. After sleeping for a solid 12 hours, her morning productivity plan had been upgraded to a full-on sprint. Yuffie screamed that she was late. The entrance ceremony started at 9 and she realized it would have already started. Xinyu told her to get a grip. Yuffie panicked, not knowing what to do, and snapped the alarm clock in half with her bare hands. She tried to convince herself it was a bad dream, saying that if she went back to sleep, maybe she would wake up and it would still be 7. She looked in the mirror and told herself to wake up, shouting that this was reality. She headed out the door, telling Xinyu she was leaving. Xinyu told her to do her best. Yuffie ran through the building and decided there was only one option to get there as fast as possible. She raised her hand and cast a spell called Gale Glide. The wind magic launched her into the air at high speed. She flew over the campus, startling some birds, and spotted the entrance ceremony hall below. She landed at the hall and reached the doors. She was about to go in but hesitated, realizing that if she walked in late now, everyone would see her. She imagined people calling her a slacker, an idiot, saying it was unbelievable and impossible to be late to the entrance ceremony. She imagined them saying that was why she had no friends. She decided she could not possibly go in. She collapsed on the ground outside the door, calling it the biggest mistake of her life and worrying they would send her back to her village. She used wind magic to fly across campus in seconds, but still managed to be too scared to open a door. A pair of shoes appeared in front of her. Yuffie looked up to see a stern-looking young man with dark hair and glasses staring down at her. He told her to wait and asked why she was running. Yuffie dashed away in a panic. He chased after her, calling her slow-witted yet quick to flee. He said her name was Yuffie Abishas. Yuffie was confused about how he knew her name. He told her to come with him and started dragging her back toward the hall. Yuffie was shocked and asked where they were going. The punishment room or maybe the dungeon. She imagined being locked up and told to reflect until graduation. The man told her to settle down, saying they had arrived. He pushed open the doors to the ceremony hall. Yuffie stared in awe at the grand interior. The man told her to sit down. Yuffie thought the hall was beautiful. He told her it was wasted on a fool like her, but to listen well. It was time for the new student representative's greeting. The representatives were announced as the kingdom's 3rd prince and the next saint candidate. Yuffie was stunned. There was a prince at the academy and a next saint candidate, which meant a rival. She imagined the candidate declaring she would become the saint. Imaginary Xinyu appeared, noting that only one person could be a saint per era, so unless Yuffie surpassed the candidate, she could not become the saint. Yuffie told herself she had to have at least one thing she was good at. The man with glasses noted that she was saying this even though she had been late. The girl who overslept just found out her rival for sainthood exists. The competition is off to a strong start. The 2 student representatives were called forward. Alina and Lyle walked up the stairs together. Yuffie was shocked to recognize them. Lyle introduced himself as Lyle Edward, the male student representative. Yuffie called out to him, stunned that he was a prince. The man with glasses was also surprised that she knew Lyle from the day before. Yuffie said she must have misheard. The man scolded her, saying that a tardy commoner like her should address him as Prince Lyle-sama. Yuffie apologized over and over. Lyle gave his speech, saying it was an honor to stand before everyone as their representative. He said that here at the academy, he would learn proper offensive magic and swore to become a shield that protected their people's peace. He urged everyone to celebrate this new road and move forward together, to their bright future. The crowd cheered and gave him a standing ovation. Yuffie thought the students were impressed by his words. She also noted that Lyle wielded offensive magic, and that her own magic did not even come close to his. She found it scary. Alina Celestia then gave her speech as the female student representative. She introduced herself and said she was happy to make new friends. She asked everyone to relax and listen. The students noted that Alina's voice was soothing, and the mood in the hall shifted. Alina said that healing magic was a gift given only to saints, but that power had to be carried with responsibility. She mentioned the tragedy of Seraphine that everyone knew about, warning that abusing healing magic would lead to tragedy. Yuffie did not know what the tragedy of Seraphine was. Alina told everyone not to worry, saying they were companions who would learn and grow together and would always help and support each other. She closed by expressing gratitude and affection for her friends-to-be and said they should make the most of their 3 years. The ceremony concluded and the students were told to exit in order. Yuffie sighed, thinking that even getting to talk to Lyle and Alina yesterday had been a miracle and that they lived in different worlds. The man with glasses called out to her, using the name Yuffie Abishas, and told her to stay behind because they needed to discuss her tardiness. Yuffie flinched. Lyle spotted them from outside. He called out to Edward and then noticed Yuffie. He said he was glad she made it to the ceremony. The man with glasses was surprised that Lyle and Alina called Yuffie by her first name. Lyle explained that he did not see Yuffie that morning, so he asked Edward to check on her. He told Yuffie he had been worried. Yuffie thanked both of them. The man introduced himself as Edward Crisis. He was the Chancellor's son and Lyle's childhood friend and had apparently been hard-headed since forever. Lyle apologized for Edward's bluntness. Yuffie thought their bond was precious. Alina told Yuffie they were in the same class and asked to be friends. She also asked to see the kitty from yesterday again. Edward reminded them that he was not done discussing Yuffie's tardiness. Lyle told Yuffie to get along with everyone. Yuffie took in the 3 of them: Alina Celestia, the next saint candidate, Edward Crisis, the Chancellor's son, and Lyle Elberd, the 3rd Prince of Elberd Kingdom. She was in the same class as these dazzling people. She thought she could not even look straight at all that sparkle and that she should buy sunglasses. A teacher greeted the class good morning and noted that it had been 1 night since the entrance ceremony. She asked if everyone had slept well, mentioning that some students were too nervous to sleep while others were excited for the day's classes. She told them to build knowledge and experience starting today and to strive to improve their magic power. She announced that for their very first class, they would begin practical magic training. Yuffie thought she was scary. The chapter was titled First Day of Classes. Yuffie had many weak subjects, and the worst of them all was about to be tested. The instructor introduced herself as Sharon, their practicals teacher. She declared that even on the very first day she would not be going easy on them and told them to steel themselves. The students responded loudly. Yuffie panicked internally, thinking that the teacher was scary and that practicals were the class she hated most. She worried that at this rate everyone would find out her secret. She whimpered that she wanted to go home. Yuffie's healing magic grades were rock bottom. She knew that she had been able to use offensive magic easily since she was little, but no matter how much she practiced healing, she was hopeless. She had reached the limit of self-study, which was why she came to the academy to learn properly, but having practicals on the very first day was too much. Other students watched her clumsy attempts. Alina asked if Yuffie was okay, noting that her face was pale. Yuffie stuttered that she was fine. Lyle and Alina approached her. Yuffie put on star-shaped sunglasses. They asked what those were. Yuffie told them they were sunglasses and asked them not to mind them. The other students murmured. Sharon spotted Yuffie and shouted at her, asking what she was doing. She actually bought the sunglasses. The "I should buy sunglasses" joke from the entrance ceremony was not a joke. Sharon got in Yuffie's face and asked if she was mocking her. Yuffie panicked, thinking that if she answered weirdly, the teacher would kill her. Sharon demanded to know why Yuffie came to the academy and ordered her to speak. Yuffie answered that she would become a fine saint and serve the people. Yuffie added that she would become a saint and make lots of friends. Sharon stared at her. She then shouted at Yuffie not to be naive. Sharon declared that the training grounds were where magic was pounded into their bones and told them to toss that spineless friends nonsense in the gutter. The students responded. Alina asked if Yuffie was okay. Yuffie apologized. Sharon explained the rules of the training exercise. Students would split into mixed pairs of 2 and within 3 hours defeat monsters and bring back 5 horns. Their target was the lowest F-rank monster called an Almirage. For emergencies, every student would receive a rescue whistle. If they used it, faculty would rush to the scene immediately. However, anyone who blew it for a foolish reason would receive a penalty. Sharon then began announcing teams and told students to step forward when called. Yuffie nervously introduced herself to her teammates, stuttering through her name. Her teammates reacted poorly. One asked if she was the girl who had been late to the entrance ceremony. Another complained about being stuck with her and called her a problem child. Yuffie realized she was not welcome at all. She thought that no one wanted to team with a loser like her, and that it made sense. She noticed she was not paired with Lyle or Alina. Sharon asked if everyone was ready and gave the signal to begin. Yuffie's teammates told her to come along, calling her Yuffie-chan. Yuffie was surprised that they called her by name. She told herself that even if she could not help with healing, she had to at least not slow them down. She ran after them. A boy named Alto cast a water ball and hit an almirage. The girls in the group praised him. Yuffie watched. The boys in another group discussed how Alto's offensive magic felt kind of weak and wondered if he was holding back. One of them said that if they went all out, the forest would disappear. An almirage appeared and one of the boys spotted it. He shouted that it was his turn and cast water ball, but the spell missed. The almirage charged at Jill. Alto called out and told Jill to push the almirage away so he could attack. Jill held the creature and agreed. Alto cast water ball and hit the almirage. Leafa asked if Jill was okay. Jill said she had saved him and thanked her. Alto said the last attack had drained him and asked Leafa for a heal. Leafa agreed. Alto then asked Yuffie to handle Jill's injury. Yuffie was caught off guard but agreed. Yuffie nervously took Jill's hand and tried to cast healing magic. The magic barely worked. Jill said he did not feel any recovery at all and asked how long it would take. Yuffie told him about an hour. Jill stared at her. Alto commented that it looked tough for her and said he guessed he needed Leafa after all. Leafa cast a healing spell called Fountain of Life and healed Jill's wound properly. Jill was amazed. The aspiring saint's healing takes an hour. Leafa did it in seconds. At this rate, Yuffie could heal a paper cut by next Tuesday. Yuffie was shattered, thinking that Leafa was incredible and that compared to her she was completely useless. She told herself that at least she could gather horns. She ran off into the forest and found a group of almirage. Something large suddenly lunged at her. Yuffie grabbed a massive haul of horns. She was excited, thinking that now she could be useful too, and that she needed to get them to everyone quickly. She stopped and looked around, asking where she was. She could not hear or see anyone. She realized she was lost. Yuffie panicked, calling herself an idiot. She remembered the rescue whistle and considered blowing it. She then recalled Sharon's warning that anyone who blew it for a foolish reason would get a penalty. She decided she absolutely could not blow it. She heard a sound nearby and wondered what it was. She noticed something approaching. Lyle appeared, looking serious. He cursed and ran. A large beast attacked and he fought back with magic, creating an explosion. The smoke cleared and Lyle questioned why there was a high-ranking magic beast in the training grounds. Multiple large wolves stood before him. While Yuffie was dealing with being lost, real trouble was closing in on Lyle. Lyle cast Fireball and took down 2 almirage at once. His teammates were amazed, saying he got 2 in a single hit. They said that with Lyle on the team, they had it in the bag. They only had 1 horn left to collect. Lyle smiled and thought to himself that it would have been even more fun if he had been on the same team as Yuffie. Edward commented that she really was a funny girl. Lyle wondered where she even got those sunglasses. One of his teammates called out to him to move to another area. Alina glanced at something with a serious look. Lyle responded that he was coming. A large magic circle appeared in the sky above them. A massive claw emerged from it. A 3-headed wolf descended from the magic circle. The students looked up in shock. Lyle shouted at everyone to run. The students screamed, asking what the monster was. Lyle casted a firewall to block the beast and protect the group. Lyle told his teammates to hide while they could. The beast was enormous and stood before them. Edward identified it as a flame Cerberus, a B danger rank high-class magic beast. He questioned why something like that was here. Lyle noted that the forest was under Academy control and that the creature should not even be there. The flame Cerberus charged at them. The training exercise was supposed to involve cute bunnies with tiny horns. Nobody mentioned the 3-headed firewolf. The forest began catching fire. Lyle thought that this was not the time to think and that at this rate all the students would be killed. He told a boy named Luke to take the 2 girls and run. Luke asked what about Lyle. Lyle told them that he would not go down easily and asked if they knew his offensive magic skills. He told Luke he was counting on him. Luke agreed and ran with the others. Lyle cast Water Orb at the flame Cerberus. The spell hit the beast, but it only growled. The flame Cerberus chased after Lyle. The students who had escaped grabbed the rescue whistle and said they had to call for help. They blew it. Lyle heard the rescue call and was relieved, but noted that it would take time for help to arrive. He said they had to keep away from the beast until then. The flame Cerberus stood between the trees, blocking their path. Alina called out Lyle's name. Lyle recalled his father's words during training. His father had told him to stand up and that training was not over yet. His father had told him that as his son, he was not permitted to lose and that he had to grow stronger to protect the people. Lyle thought that was right. Lyle declared that he was the kingdom's third prince, a warrior who served as the people's sword. He cast fireball at the beast. He told himself that he could not run and that he had to fight. He noted that the creature was fire element and decided to use water magic against it. He cast water arrow and then water shield to defend against the beast's counterattack. The water shield blocked the attack, but the flame Cerberus broke through and sent Lyle flying. He crashed to the ground. The beast towered over him. The prince pulled out every water spell in his arsenal and the Cerberus treated it like a light shower. Lyle cursed, saying he could not even scratch it. He recalled his father's words again, telling him he was not permitted to lose. Lyle said he would not give up. Not here of all places. A small voice called out to him. Yuffie peeked out from behind a tree and asked if he was okay. Lyle was shocked, asking why she was there. Yuffie said she had heard a loud noise and asked if he was hurt. The flame Cerberus attacked again. Lyle cast water shield to protect both of them. The shield blocked the beast's strike. Yuffie cried out Lyle's name. She saw that he was in pain and covered in burns. She stared at his injuries. Yuffie told Lyle that she would definitely heal his wounds. She then cast water arrow at the beast. Lyle was stunned and asked what she was doing, telling her she should at least run. Yuffie asked him to give her just a moment. Lyle stared in disbelief. Yuffie unleashed an enormous water arrow, a massive wave of water magic that dwarfed the trees and engulfed the entire area. The attack struck the flame Cerberus head-on. Yuffie's fury tore through the wind and struck down the beast. Yuffie's water arrow struck the flame Cerberus head-on. The attack engulfed the beast and left the surrounding area flooded and destroyed. Lyle stared at the aftermath in shock. Yuffie rushed over to Lyle and asked to see his injury. Lyle stared at her blankly. Yuffie apologized and said that with her power it would take 3 days to heal him. Lyle was silent for a moment, then said that she was a cross-dressing boy after all. Yuffie shouted that she was not. Lyle asked how she could use offensive magic if she was not a boy. Yuffie panicked and noticed the defeated flame Cerberus behind them. She blurted out that it was a magic trick. Lyle told her there was no way that was true. He reminded her that when they first met, she had also said she took down a black wolf by herself. Yuffie insisted he had the wrong person. Lyle looked at her seriously and said that after seeing such powerful magic, he could believe she really did take one down alone. He added that only someone with an insane level of talent could do something like that. Yuffie blushed and told him to stop because he was making her blush. Lyle was caught off guard and asked if she could really use that level of offensive magic. She just one-shot a B-rank monster that the prince couldn't scratch, and her first move is to claim it was a magic trick. Lyle told her that her power was an anomaly and that the nation had to be informed about it. Voices called out nearby as faculty arrived. Yuffie panicked and ran. Lyle called after her to wait, but the professors reached him first and asked if he was okay. Lyle said nothing. Yuffie was lying on the grass in a courtyard, saying the smell of greenery was calming. She said she was glad she enrolled and that the courtyard was lovely. She then recalled Lyle's words about the nation needing to be informed and froze. Yuffie imagined the worst, people calling her a witch, demanding she be caught and used as a test subject. She imagined being restrained and confined. She panicked that she had used offensive magic in front of people. She recalled that offensive magic was something only men could use. She knew that, but she wondered if it was really that big of a deal. A voice nearby said that she could really use offensive magic. A boy holding a book stood in the courtyard and asked if she was a suspicious person. Yuffie panicked and said she was not. The boy calmly said that was good then. Yuffie was surprised he accepted it so easily. He told her not to mind him, saying this was his usual reading spot. She noticed his tie color and realized he was a first year. He told her that her ribbon color was red, which was how he knew she was a first year. The academy color system was explained. First years wore red, second years green, and third years blue. Yuffie noticed his tie was green and realized he was an upperclassman. She apologized, saying she was not sure how to address him. The boy introduced himself as Noah and extended his hand. Yuffie was thrilled, thinking it was the second friendly handshake of her life. She introduced herself. Noah said it was nice to meet her. 2 handshakes in her entire life and she's counting them like trophies. Noah mentioned that today's classes had been canceled. Yuffie agreed that it was a rough start for day 1. An emergency had halted classes with no explanation, and leaving campus was forbidden for the day. Noah mentioned that Lyle's injuries were healed by the time they found him, and that someone must have fixed him up. Yuffie was thrilled, realizing that Lyle had kept quiet about her offensive magic. She called him a good person. She then worried that they might nab her while she was asleep and lock her up. Noah commented that her movements were unique and that he was not getting bored watching her. Yuffie said the conversation felt lively, as if it was happening inside her head. She explained that there was an imaginary other version of herself in her head and that they talked a lot. She said it had been that way since childhood. Noah said he remembered that too from his own childhood. Yuffie was shocked that he remembered. She wondered if Noah was a loner type like her but noted that he gave off a sparkly vibe. A voice called out for the student council president. Noah responded. Lyle appeared and was surprised to see Yuffie. Noah asked if they knew each other. Lyle confirmed they were classmates. Lyle told Noah there was something they needed to discuss. Noah agreed and said goodbye to Yuffie, thanking her for the pleasant time. Yuffie was happy that someone had said see you to her again. She imagined that Lyle had believed her magic trick excuse and thought he was really nice. Lyle met with Noah in the student council room. Noah was the student council president and Lyle was the vice president. Lyle told Noah that a girl had been using offensive magic. Noah said it was hard to believe. Lyle insisted it was true and that he had seen it himself. He said he had considered reporting it to his father and even to the nation, but explained that a woman who could use offensive magic would be confined for life if it got out. Noah asked if it was dangerous to leave her unchecked. Lyle said the best option was to keep her under the student council's supervision, tracking her movements to protect both her and her secret. He declared that he would recommend her as a student council member. Yuffie, meanwhile, was elsewhere on campus screaming that the student council president was a loner just like her, calling herself rude and telling herself to repent. Lyle explained to Noah that he wanted to monitor and protect a girl who could use offensive magic despite being female, and that he was recommending her as a student council member. Noah agreed that it might be a good idea. Noah asked if the girl had agreed to this. Lyle told him he would ask her after their meeting. Noah said he would leave it to Lyle, adding that promising newcomers were always welcome and that he was counting on him. Lyle thanked him and called him brother. That night, Yuffie sat in her room looking out at the moon. Shinyu asked what she was doing and hopped up beside her. Yuffie told him she was writing today's reflection. Shinyu peeked at her notebook. Yuffie sighed as she recalled the events of the day. Her teammates had scolded her for disappearing and told her not to scare them like that. She had apologized and promised it would not happen again. Yuffie slumped on the couch and thought to herself that she did not make any friends and just troubled her whole team. She wondered why she was like this. Shinyu tried to cheer her up. Yuffie admitted that she did get a little closer with Lyle. Yuffie thought that Lyle was really kind, and that no one had ever protected her like that before. She figured he was way out of her league and they could not be friends, but maybe they could at least be acquaintances. The next morning she greeted Lyle cheerfully, and he said good morning back. Yuffie was overjoyed and danced around her room, giggling to herself that she was now an acquaintance of Lord Lyle. Lyle happened to spot Yuffie's happy dance through a window. Yuffie froze when she noticed him watching. He apologized for startling her. Yuffie panicked, realizing he had seen everything. Lyle insisted that he did not see her dance, which only confirmed that he absolutely saw it. Yuffie started sobbing from embarrassment. The prince said, "I didn't see your dance," with the confidence of someone who memorized every step. Lyle apologized for barging in so suddenly and asked if Yuffie could come with him for a bit. He said he had some things to discuss with her. He led her to a cathedral at night. Yuffie was amazed by the building. Lyle thanked her for coming and apologized for the intrusion. He said he wanted them to be alone so they could talk. Yuffie's mind raced, wondering if this was a secret talk and if Lyle was maybe going to bring up something romantic. Lyle quickly clarified that it was not about the magic trick. It was about the flame Cerberus incident from earlier that day. Yuffie was caught off guard by the wrong topic. Lyle bowed deeply and thanked Yuffie for saving him. Yuffie was confused. Lyle told her that if she had not showed up, he would have died. She saved his life. And yet he had interrogated her without even thanking her first, which was truly shameful of him. He apologized. Yuffie panicked and told him it was too much, begging him to raise his head. Yuffie thanked Lyle for keeping quiet about her offensive magic. Lyle told her that it was something she should report to someone. Yuffie did not understand why and said it was an incident so huge that it could rewrite history. Lyle was stunned at how big she thought the situation was. Lyle told Yuffie that, as he had said before, her existence was abnormal. A woman using offensive magic was already abnormal, and on top of that, her magic power was off the charts. If this got out, her life would be in danger. He asked her to join the student council. Yuffie asked about the student council. Lyle explained it was a group of the academy's top students. She had met the president earlier that day, and there were also himself, Elena, and Edward. They managed and ran various school events. Yuffie thought they were all glittering elites, and questioned why someone like her would be invited to a place like that. Lyle admitted that one reason was to keep an eye on her. Yuffie realized it was surveillance, but Lyle said the main reason was that he wanted to watch closely so her power did not run wild, and most importantly, he wanted her to enjoy school life. He told Yuffie that she was someone precious to him, his friend. He asked her to join the student council and let them protect her. Yuffie completely froze. The word friend hit her so hard she could barely function. She thought to herself that she had just made the very first friend of her entire life. Lyle asked her to come to the student council room tomorrow after classes and offered to show her the way, but Yuffie was too busy being overwhelmed with joy to respond. Lyle poured his heart out about protecting her from national danger, and Yuffie's takeaway was, he said friend. The next day, Yuffie stood in front of the student council room door. She recalled that Lyle had told her to come after school, but her head had been so floaty that she could barely remember the details. She stared at the fancy door and psyched herself up, telling herself she could go in because they were friends. Yuffie was thrilled that going to a friend's place after school was finally coming true. She had always dreamed of it. She had even prepared a gift. Leaffa appeared and noticed Yuffie standing there. Just as Yuffie announced she was going in, someone grabbed the top of her head from behind. A guy with a scary face told her to move because she was in the way. Yuffie took one look at the guy and noticed his red hair, sharp eyes, and sloppy uniform. She was certain he was a delinquent. He told her again to move and asked if she was even listening. Yuffie panicked and told him she did not have any money. She held out her gift and asked him to take it instead. He said he did not need it and told her to move. Lyle opened the door and welcomed Yuffie inside. The guy looked confused. Lyle invited them both in and said everyone was already there. Yuffie nervously walked into the student council room with the guy following behind her. Elena greeted them cheerfully and said they had been waiting for Yuffie. Lyle introduced the two of them. The scary guy was Jack Garini, the son of the Minister of War and a childhood friend of Lyle's. He was also a student council member. Lyle then introduced Yuffie to Jack. She nervously said hello. Yuffie presented her gift to everyone, saying it was a specialty from her hometown. The others thanked her and said it was really good. Yuffie tried to offer some to Jack as well. He shouted that he already said no. Yuffie was horrified to see that he had sliced her gift clean in half. Jack yelled at the others for accepting burdock root like it was a normal thing, asking who hands out burdock root when meeting someone for the first time. He then turned to Yuffie and called her Burdock Girl. Yuffie was stunned by the nickname. Jack asked her directly if she could use attack magic. He said her obvious lie had even fooled Lyle and demanded to know what she was really up to. Most people bring cookies to make a first impression. Yuffie brought a root vegetable and still almost pulled it off. Elena jumped in and told Jack not to pick on Yuffie. Jack insisted he was not picking on her. Elena said she knew Jack would not lie about something like this, but a girl who could use offensive magic was pretty hard to believe. Edward told Jack to relax, saying Yuffie did not have it in her to scheme anything. He added that it was the truth, and that he had seen it with his own eyes. Jack said he did not believe the whole offensive magic thing either. Elena agreed with him. Lyle awkwardly admitted that it was true though. Yuffie thought to herself about how a girl using offensive magic was really that unbelievable. It finally hit her that her power was super ultra hyper level abnormal. Lyle explained to the group that no woman in history had ever used offensive magic, and he understood why everyone was having trouble believing it. Jack then declared that he wanted to fight Yuffie right now. Lyle was caught off guard. Jack protested, asking why it had to be him and telling Lyle to do it since he was top of the class. Lyle told him to hold on. Edward pointed out that Jack was the one doubting Yuffie's power, so he should be the one to fight her. Lyle asked Yuffie if that sounded good. She hesitantly agreed. She then tried to protest that they were not actually going to fight, but it was too late. Lyle asked Jack if he was running away, noting that Jack was from the legendary Garini family of offensive magic. Jack snapped and declared that he was not running away, and that he would fight. They headed to the training ground. Yuffie and Jack faced each other in the arena. Lyle called out to them and asked if they were ready. Noah set the rules. The first one to take down their opponent would win, but they were not to wreck the training ground. Lyle shouted for them to begin. In the stands, Elena worried about what would happen if Yuffie got seriously hurt. Edward asked if she would be okay. Lyle said Yuffie was going to be fine. Elena was not so sure, but Lyle reminded her that even if Yuffie got hurt, Elena could heal her instantly. Jack called out to Yuffie as Burdock Girl again, and told her to just admit she could not use offensive magic and give up. Yuffie insisted it was not a lie. Jack said they would see about that. Jack launched Blaze Storm, sending multiple fireballs across the arena. The spectators watched in awe. Elena commented that Jack had gotten even better. Yuffie thought to herself that she could use offensive magic, but she was afraid of what might happen if she forgot to hold back and seriously hurt someone. She paced around the arena in a panic, unsure of what to do. Jack clicked his tongue and noted that she had not even flinched when she saw his magic and wondered if she was not afraid at all. He thought that women could not use offensive magic and that he could not attack someone who had no way to fight back. Jack went from fight me right now to, I can't hit someone who won't fight back in about 30 seconds flat. Lyle called out to Yuffie and told her not to worry because if anything happened, Elena could heal Jack right up. He told her to show them what she had. Yuffie looked at Jack and declared that she would not hold back either. She cast Water Orb, unleashing a massive water spell that crashed across the arena and extinguished Jack's flames. Jack, Edward, and Elena all stared in shock. The arena was flooded and steaming. Yuffie stood amid the destruction, breathing hard. Jack grinned and said it was getting fun. Both of them locked eyes across the arena, ready to continue fighting. Jack called out to Yuffie across the arena and told her he wanted to ask her something. He greeted her casually, saying, "Long time no see." He then asked if she was cross-dressing. Yuffie shouted that she was not and wondered why everyone thought she was cross-dressing. Jack told her that whether she was a guy or a girl, if she could fight, he was not holding back. He launched Blazing Firestorm at her. Yuffie countered with Swift Wind Kick, unleashing a powerful blast of wind that sent the flames flying. Jack was shocked. Edward and Lyle stared in disbelief. Lyle confirmed that Yuffie could use 2 elements. Edward could not believe it. Lyle explained that offensive magic was made up of 5 attributes: fire, water, wind, earth, and lightning. Most people just mastered the one that fit their aptitude. But once in a while, someone appeared who could handle multiple attributes, and those rare cases had always gone down in history as true prodigies. Lyle stated that he did not know how Yuffie had ever learned offensive magic, but there was no doubt her ability was extraordinary. Jack looked at her and muttered that she could use 2 attributes. He thought about how much power she had and grinned, realizing he could really go all out. He summoned Blazing Beast Inferno, creating a massive fire lion. Jack's idea of making friends is summoning a fire lion the size of a truck. Noah yelled at Jack to stop, warning that if the fire lion hit Yuffie directly, she would die. Elena screamed for Yuffie to give up right now. Yuffie told them both to shut up. Jack sent the fire lion charging at her. Yuffie cast Stonewall, raising a massive wall of rock that the fire lion slammed into. Lyle, Edward, and Elena all stared. Elena gasped that Yuffie could use 3 attributes. Edward stated that with this kind of power, Yuffie was on par with the Royal Mage Corps. Elena asked if that was even possible. Lyle stared at Yuffie and wondered what she really was. Jack's fire lion was struggling against the stone wall, but he told it not to back down and to corner her. The lion roared and pushed forward. Yuffie was surprised the fire lion could climb and told it to please fall down. She apologized and cast Rock Smash, summoning a giant stone fist that crushed the fire lion. The impact destroyed a huge section of the arena floor, sending water and rubble everywhere. Noah shouted in surprise. Jack was knocked back by the blast. Jack cursed. His vision was going hazy from the backlash of using too many high-level spells. Yuffie approached him and asked if they could please stop now, saying that any more and his body would not hold up. Jack told her to shut up. He raged that he was the son of the Minister of War and had trained like hell since he was a kid to become the strongest mage who protects the country. He insisted there was no way he could lose. He began charging a fireball in his hand. Noah tried to stop Jack, saying the match was already over. Yuffie cast Thunderbolt shot and lightning struck Jack directly. He cried out in pain. Everyone in the stands reacted in shock. Yuffie panicked, realizing she had misjudged the output. Jack collapsed on the ground. Yuffie ran over to him, apologizing over and over. Yuffie asked to stop. Jack said no. Yuffie stopped him anyway. Sometimes friendship needs a little lightning. Elena rushed over to heal Jack. Lyle asked Yuffie if she was sure she did not need healing too. Yuffie said she was totally fine. Lyle noted that she was still fine after firing off that many high-output spells. He thought to himself that magic and stamina were supposed to trade off 1 for 1, and that Yuffie should be in Jack's state right now. Jack confronted Yuffie, demanding to know what was going on with her attributes. He pointed out that she had just used water, wind, earth, and lightning and asked if she could really use 4. Yuffie hesitated and then said she could use fire too, so she could use all 5. She demonstrated by conjuring fire in her hand. Everyone went silent. Lyle called her name. Yuffie asked if she had said something weird again. Lyle told her that no one in history had ever been recorded using all 5 attributes. Yuffie froze in shock. Lyle told Yuffie that she was something incredible. She awkwardly thanked him. In a dark cave somewhere in the mountains, a hooded figure reported to a shadowy master that the flame Cerberus had been defeated. The master called it impossible, saying there should not be a student strong enough to kill that thing, and demanded to know why no one had informed him. The hooded figure nervously explained that the flame Cerberus was taken down by a single hit from a girl named Yuffie Abishas. The master repeated the claim in disbelief and asked if they expected him to believe that nonsense. The hooded figure insisted it was the truth and that he had seen it with his own eyes. The master dismissed the claim again, then ordered that the student council be killed. The hooded figure questioned the order, noting that Yuffie was a girl. Noah looked over the destroyed training grounds and said he understood Yuffie's abilities now. He turned to her and confirmed that she was the one who destroyed the training grounds. Yuffie threw herself to the ground and apologized, stating that she would pay for the damages with her life if she had to. Noah told her the damages were fine and that it would be financially impossible for her to pay anyway. Alina knelt beside Yuffie and asked if she was okay. Yuffie sobbed. Noah acknowledged that Lyle had recommended Yuffie as a promising newcomer to the student council. He asked if this was the group's consensus. Lyle said no, it was his decision alone. Noah replied that even if Lyle was the vice president and his younger brother, he couldn't show favoritism. He said he would hear everyone else's opinions. Lyle agreed. Jack immediately demanded to have his say. The other members were caught off guard that Noah was Lyle's older brother. Noah gave Jack the floor. Jack grinned and declared that losers don't get a say, and that was all he had to add. Noah said he admired Jack's decisiveness but refused to accept that as enough to make a judgment. He told Jack that as someone who had actually fought Yuffie, there must be things only he could understand. He asked Jack to share his thoughts. Jack hesitated, then agreed. He said Yuffie's power was abnormal, frankly abnormal, and that he didn't think it was something they could handle. Jack went from losers don't get a say to we're all losers here in about 10 seconds. Edward agreed with Jack. He suggested they report Yuffie to the kingdom immediately and seek their judgment. However, he warned that if the Fundamentalists learned of her existence, it would be a catastrophe. He doubted the Fundamentalists would listen to anything the moderates had to say. Noah looked troubled. Yuffie had no idea what they were talking about. Yuffie asked what the Fundamentalists were. Edward was stunned. He told her she was far too ignorant and asked if she was a traitor to her own country. He said he would only explain this once, so she needed to listen carefully. Yuffie snapped to attention. Edward explained that 90% of the Kingdom of Elvador followed the Valencia Church. The church had two major factions, the moderates and the fundamentalists. The moderates accepted life as granted by God and sought to coexist. They valued respect. The fundamentalist faction, on the other hand, believed in exclusion. Under the pretext of upholding the scripture's sanctity, they thoroughly eliminated anything that contradicted their teachings. The fundamentalists had broadly interpreted parts of the doctrine and would not hesitate to use force. Among other things, they firmly believed that offensive magic was a special art granted only to men. Edward warned Yuffie that if those people found out she existed, they would do whatever it took to capture her. Yuffie panicked and begged them not to kill her. Jack told her he wasn't going to kill her. Edward added that she wouldn't die that easily anyway. He then said that Yuffie Abishas could become the spark that ignites a war between the moderates and the fundamentalists. The girl just wants friends and somehow ended up being a potential cause of holy war. Edward stated that her existence could bring chaos to the entire nation. Therefore, he believed they should turn her over to the kingdom as soon as possible. Yuffie froze. Noah told Edward that would be premature. Shinyu clenched his paw. Edward asked why. Noah explained that the moderates were not a united front either. Among them were people who would conduct experiments violating human rights in an attempt to uncover Yuffie's power. If that happened, Yuffie might attack the moderates in self-defense, and she would become an enemy of the nation. On top of that, under the pretext of protecting her from the fundamentalists, there was even the risk she could be imprisoned indefinitely. Yuffie imagined herself locked behind bars, all alone, branded an enemy. She could barely speak, stammering that it couldn't be true. Noah told Yuffie he would protect her in the student council. Yuffie stared at him in disbelief. Noah said Yuffie was by no means a harmful presence. She simply wanted friends and had only come to the academy for that reason. He reminded everyone that the student council's philosophy was to be a good neighbor to every student. For the sake of Yuffie's future, the future of the academy, and the future of the nation, he wanted them to honor Yuffie's wish. Edward muttered the word friends and chuckled. Yuffie teared up. Noah asked if anyone objected to Lyle's opinion. There were no objections. Noah announced their collective decision. He formally addressed Yuffie and told her the student council was inviting her to join them. However, he added they would not force her. It was her decision. Yuffie stammered, struggling to get the words out. She shouted that she wanted to join the student council. The student council members all looked at her warmly. Edward and Noah exchanged a glance. Lyle smiled. Jack grinned. Alina beamed. Lyle called out to Yuffie and welcomed her to the student council. Yuffie burst into tears. Alina laughed and called her a crybaby. Yuffie has now cried in front of every member of the student council. At this point, it might count as an initiation ritual. Yuffie called Alina Lady Alina. Alina told her to drop the lady. They were friends now, weren't they? Yuffie was overjoyed at the word friends. Alina called her adorable and whispered that she could just eat her up. Yuffie shivered. Noah noticed and pointed out that Yuffie was feeling a chill. Edward called out to Alina to stop. Yuffie thanked them for the day and said she would see them in class tomorrow. As she was about to leave, Lyle told her one more thing. not to use attack magic in front of people no matter what. He made her promise. Yuffie agreed and promised. Noah moved on to regular student council business. The topic was the recent flame Cerberus appearance. The investigation was ongoing, but most likely the magical beast had been summoned deliberately. Noah confirmed this and stated there was evidence that someone was targeting students' lives. The student council members were shaken. Noah said he doubted the culprit would give up after one failure. He told everyone to stay alert. Noah declared that they would find the mastermind who targeted their academy. The entire student council agreed. A girl with dark hair was calling out for someone named John outside at night. She and another girl, a blonde, searched the academy grounds but couldn't find him. One of them said John was a puppy who couldn't even open doors and wondered where he could have gone. The blonde then said she thought she had found him. The two girls stood at the edge of a dark forest. The dark-haired girl tried to go in, but the blonde grabbed her arm and stopped her, telling her the forest was off limits. The dark-haired girl protested that John might have wandered in there. The two of them were startled by something in the forest. The blonde suggested they try asking the student council for help, since Alina loved animals and would surely help them. The dark-haired girl agreed. They hurried off. Behind them, hidden in the trees, a hooded figure with a scarred face watched them and grinned. Yuffie woke up the next morning humming happily while brushing her hair. Shinyu headbutted her playfully. She greeted him and told him she was in a great mood. She told Shinyu that she had made her second friend yesterday, Alina, and wondered if she could eventually become friends with everyone else in the student council too. Shinyu congratulated her. Yuffie's friend count just hit 2. At this rate, she'll have a full party by graduation. Yuffie arrived at the classroom grinning and announced that she had joined the student council. She was so happy she wanted everyone to become friends with her too. Her classmates immediately started asking to be her friend. Leifa and Jill were among them. Yuffie noticed other students whispering about her in the hallway. They questioned why a commoner had joined the student council and said it wasn't fair. One claimed they should have been the one to get in. Yuffie felt uneasy and thought that this wasn't what she had expected. Lyle, Alina, and Edward arrived in the classroom and greeted Yuffie. Lyle noticed she seemed down and asked if something was wrong. Alina told Yuffie not to worry. She said that if Yuffie just stayed true to herself, her charm would reach everyone eventually. Yuffie thanked her. Alina then suggested they have lunch together, which made the surrounding students even more upset. Edward and Lyle noted that Alina was only adding fuel to the fire. At lunch, the student council treated Yuffie to a full-course meal with after-meal tea and dessert. Yuffie was stunned. Alina offered her family's own handcrafted black tea and urged Yuffie to have some sweets too. Yuffie was amazed that there were servers at the school lunch and realized that the student council members were on a completely different level of nobility. Yuffie praised the sweets, saying they were so delicious she thought they were from a store. Alina said she had made them by hand. Yuffie was shocked. Alina corrected herself and said Edward had actually made them. Everyone was surprised. Yuffie called Edward amazing and said he was a genius. Among the sweets was a burdock peeler, which was Yuffie's favorite and a specialty of Merrill Village. Jack said he thought that was a bit much. Lyle noted that Edward's hobby was pretty unexpected and asked why he didn't try to hide it. Jack was embarrassed and insisted there was nothing shameful about making sweets. Lyle teased him, asking if he was the one with something to hide. Jack panicked and denied it. The Chancellor's son stress bakes pastries. Somewhere out there, Edward's father is reading a budget report while his kid perfects a burdock peeler recipe. Yuffie excused herself. 2 girls, the dark-haired girl and the blonde from the night before, entered the room. They apologized for interrupting the student council's meal and said they had something to consult them about. Lyle asked what it was. The dark-haired girl explained that her pet puppy named John had gone missing. The disappearance had happened 3 days ago. After finishing class and returning to the dorm, the pet had vanished. The entire academy was searched, but nothing was found. When the search extended to the restricted North Forest, something was seen there. Lyle confirmed this and said the missing pet was concerning. Given the flame Cerberus incident as well, caution was needed. Alina immediately stood up and declared that they needed to search for the puppy right now. She said a family member, a precious dog, hadn't returned for 3 whole days. She said if it were her and her family's pets, which she named Demon Overlord God, Black Hole Seraphim, and Phoenix, ever went missing, she would be so worried she couldn't sleep at night. She would worry until madness took hold. Jack and Yuffie were startled by the intensity of her reaction. Lyle sighed and said once Alina got like this, even he couldn't stop her. Noah concluded there was no other way. He assigned the 5 student council members to search for the pet and investigate the North Forest. Their mission was to find out what the something seen in the forest was and safely retrieve the puppy to return it to its owner. The group agreed and headed out. Edward and Jack entered the North Forest together. They noticed it was eerily quiet. Not even a single wild animal was around. Jack said he had a bad feeling about it. Edward then brought up someone named Hans Senpai and asked when he was coming back. Jack was caught off guard. Edward told him Hans had returned that morning. Today was a rest day for Hans since his expedition had been grueling work. Edward teased Jack, saying that the existence of a rival must bother him. Jack denied it, insisting he was just wondering how things were going since he hadn't seen Hans's face once since enrolling. Edward chuckled and said Jack was clearly bothered after all. A creature suddenly leaped down from above and attacked them. Jack reacted instantly and cast Fire Shield to block the blow. The two of them were knocked back by the impact. Jack and Edward looked up and identified the creature. It was an A-rank King Cyclops. Jack asked if Edward was serious. Edward said they would need a whole brigade of the National Army for something like this. Jack suggested they take it down together for a medal. Edward called him stupid and said they couldn't let the thing get near the academy. He decided they should hold it off until Lyle's group arrived. Jack agreed. The King Cyclops slammed the ground between them. Edward and Jack dodged to either side. Edward cast Gale Breath while Jack launched Raging Firestorm. The combined attack engulfed the King Cyclops in smoke and flames. Edward thought they had done it, but the King Cyclops was unharmed. It swatted Jack aside. Jack declared he would take the monster's arm and hit it with flame cannon. The blast tore through the Cyclops' arm. Edward celebrated, but then watched in shock as the arm regenerated instantly. The King Cyclops had regeneration ability. The Cyclops attacked again, slamming both Edward and Jack to the ground. They were thrown back violently. Jack tried to cast Fireball but could barely raise his hand. The Cyclops grabbed Edward. Jack cried out. They went looking for a lost puppy and found a raid boss instead. Classic bait and switch. Both Edward and Jack lay beaten on the ground. The King Cyclops loomed over them. It raised its foot, preparing to stomp. Jack checked on Edward, calling out to him. Edward was unconscious but still breathing faintly. Jack thought that Alina's healing touch would fix Edward instantly. He told himself he absolutely must not die and challenged the monster to come at him. The King Cyclops raised its fist.